Hi everybody, this is my reflection on the design process for Module 1, Periscope. So the first two parts of this process were already done for us. The ask was how can I see above a crowd? And the imagine was, well, that I could use a periscope. So I'm going to start right in with 3. Step 3 was to plan. So I looked up at the inspiration that was on the course page, and I looked up some other plans online and came up with 3 things that really helped me in my plan. Number 1, most periscopes are long and skinny, so I decided to use a rectangular prism. Number 2, most of the do-it-yourself plans I found were made from cardboard, even though some were made from PVC pipe. So I decided to make mine out of cardboard. And number 3, no matter the design I used, I needed 2 mirrors that were mounted at about a 45-degree angle. So from that, I put together some materials. I planned my materials. We're going to be a piece of cardboard, 2 mirrors, some tape, marker, a tape measure, scissors, a knife to cut the cardboard, and then I was ready to create. So I started by taking and splitting my cardboard into 4 sections so that I could use my knife and score it and then fold it into my prism. I then found that I needed to cut the holes for my mirrors. And so I started doing some calculations to figure out, in order to get a 45-degree angle, how big of a flap did I need to cut into my cardboard. So I did use the Pythagorean theorem, being a math teacher, and I found that I was going to need about 9 3/16 inches of my periscope cut out, which would be almost half of this side. And as I thought about that, I said, I think that's too big. So I stopped and I said, how can I improve this design before I go any farther? And I had 2 things. Number 1, I didn't have a top or a bottom to my periscope, which is a major issue that I was going to have to address. And number 2, the hole that I needed to cut for the mirror was going to be way too large. So I decided to go back and replan. And this time I changed it up. I went back in the design process because it's not a linear process. It's a fluid process. And I said I was going to use a traditional shipping box, and I was going to be intentional about which sides I cut the mirror on so that I'd have to make the smallest cut possible. So I started to create again. I found my box. You can see on the left picture here is I cut out kind of where I wanted to put my mirror. And in the right picture, I kind of traced it out and I cut the flap in. And notice what I meant about where I wanted to cut it is this side here on the left is the smallest side when I held it up and down. So I wanted to cut into the side beside it so I'd have the smallest flap possible. And once I cut in this front flap, I cut in the back flap. It only took me about 5 minutes to do that total. And I taped my mirrors on and I had a periscope. And you can see here, you can kind of look in the mirror down at the bottom, you can see my hand behind the box. So I had a working periscope. So I went back and I thought about, well, what are some things that I can improve if I were to do this again? I think I would use a taller box so that I could get some more distance and it'd be a more purposeful use. I would use a skinnier box because really the whole left side of my box, or the right side of my boxes, if you look at it, is unused. And I need better mirrors because my quality was pretty low. So I'm really excited about the product that was put out and to see how the design process was used. And I'm looking forward to seeing some other people's periscopes.